My coaching career began as an offensive coordinator, and the only college that would hire me was New Mexico. They were the worst team in college football, but I had one chance, and this was the start of my coaching career. It was also unlike my other Dynasty series because I could change schools every time I got an offer. The first game I'd ever coach was against Drake, and it was going to be rough with a 63 overall offense. Senior quarterback Miles Kendrick would be the guy running all of the plays that I call, and he was my ticket to moving up the coaching ladder and landing a bigger job. On one of the last plays of the first quarter, he rolled out and threw a 25-yard dot to the back of the end zone, connecting with Trey Hall, and then with 2 minutes left in the second quarter, he scrambled in for 6. So we went into the half up 8. My offense was performing really well for my first game coaching, but I can't act like it was perfect, with some play calls obviously needing to be removed from the playbook for the future. In the end, sophomore running back Nathaniel Jones would bust off this massive run as we were just focused on burning the clock and beating Drake in our first game of the year. My coaching debut resulted in a win, but I was expecting to get railed at LSU. Maybe one day the Tigers would offer me a job, but for now, I had to coach as an offensive coordinator. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a struggle. Well, that was until senior wide receiver Jordan Porter made the play of the game, taking this simple pass 59 yards to the house and fighting his way into the end zone. I sure didn't teach him that, but it made me look good as a coach anyway, and if we were going to lose the game, at least we had some positive takeaways. We went into the half down by 17, and it didn't get any better from there with the LSU defense clamping us up. My offensive coaching ability was definitely up for questioning, but it's not like we were supposed to win, and my job was still safer than ever. It was pouring down rain at home against UTEP, so we had to run it, but that wasn't my normal coaching philosophy, so I can't even fault Miles Kendrick for turning the ball over and putting us down 7 points early in the game. However, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised to see how he responded on the next drive. He was getting more comfortable running the option, and he would end up outrunning everybody on the field for this 83-yard touchdown. I had turned the senior quarterback into a scrambler, and his running ability was giving us a slight edge. Unfortunately, the rain was still making it very difficult to move the ball, but early into the second quarter, we stayed consistent with the passing attempts, and it paid off big time with a Jordan Porter touchdown. My offense was on another level today. However, it wasn't perfect. We had an opportunity to bomb the UTEP defense at the end of the half, but Austin Erickson dropped it. And by the third quarter, we were struggling to move the ball. So all of a sudden, it was a one-possession game. And then after that, UTEP scored, and I needed to get my offense going. So I decided to start calling option run plays like we did in the first half. And just like that, we had moved the ball all the way down the field, and we were threatening to take the lead. With 16 seconds left, Miles Kendrick took in the game winner, and he had performed at a level I had never seen. I was preying on every coach's downfall for better opportunities, but our offensive stats weren't exactly impressive. So if I wanted a better coaching job at the end of the year, we needed to keep playing well, and Nathaniel Jones gave us the exact start we needed against UNLV. He would take this halfback screen 32 yards to the house in style. And then to end the quarter, Austin Erickson actually held onto the ball. Whenever I decided to call run plays, we seemed to succeed. Junior and backup running back Sherrod White would simply outrun everybody, going for a 62-yard run to put us up 21. But then, to end the first half, Miles Kendrick fumbled the ball away, a UNLV cornerback picked it up, and he would take it all the way back to the end zone. Miles Kendrick was definitely blowing the game for us today. This terrible read would end up resulting in the Rebels tying it up, and I couldn't believe we blew our 21-point lead. Fortunately, with our defense clutching up multiple times, we would escape with a win, and my next coaching gig was at Wyoming. They had a beautiful stadium, and it honestly felt like we were playing in a high school football game. I can understand why there weren't many fans in the crowd because nobody got on the board until there were 2 minutes left in the first half. I can't stress enough how much we were overperforming as a team, going out and dominating against Wyoming. We were projected to be one of the worst teams in the country, but somehow we were rolling, and I truly believed we could win the conference. It felt like we had a huge lead on every other team already, and our next opponent was 1-6. I had coached this offense to a great start to the season, but Miles Kendrick started off roughly against Utah State, and that meant I was back to only calling for him to run the ball, which ended up working out. I had turned Miles Kendrick into a running quarterback, and I was hoping this transformation of his game would land me a better coaching job at the end of the year. He couldn't stop scoring for us, and as an offense, I had coached them well throughout practice to the point where they were actually running the option the right way. Unfortunately, our defense didn't play well against the Aggies today, so we had to shove the ball down their throat attempting to score. and with less than 3 minutes left in the game, the option continued to work, giving us a 4-point lead. However, our defense gave up another touchdown, so we had to throw it, which ended up exposing why we had been running the ball so much with Miles Kendrick. With Utah State taking their 3, our quarterback had one more chance to prove himself, but again, he turned the ball over in an ugly fashion, and with that being his 15th interception in 6 games, I had a tough decision to make. We couldn't continue to only run the ball, so if Miles Kendrick had a bad game today, I was going to make my first big decision as a coach, and that would be benching him and bringing in somebody that could throw it. I told him that straight to his face, so I think it helped motivate him to come out and actually deliver some decent throws, helping us move the ball and getting onto the board first against Western Kentucky. After we took that lead, I decided to start calling some more option plays, and that paid off big time with this 38-yard Luke Wyson touchdown run. So we went into the half up 11. However, by the 4th quarter, we found ourselves down by 3, and then after this run that went almost nowhere, Miles Kendrick wasn't getting up. So we had to resort to the backup quarterback, which was not going to be easy. He wasn't ready to come into the game, and it definitely showed. Luckily, our defense locked up, and with 90 seconds left, Miles Kendrick was back. And even with the clock being our biggest threat, I decided to call some run plays to make sure we got in field goal range, but Miles Kendrick threw the game-winning dot to Luke Wyson instead, so we were now 5-2. And I had to somehow coach my team to a win against San Diego State. I was calling as many option runs as I could because that was what my offensive unit did the best. And whenever we tried to pass it, most of the time it didn't work. Miles Kendrick's inaccurate throws were making it almost impossible to score, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to call play-wise on offense. I knew what we could do that worked, and even though most of the time the option run would help us move the ball down the field with ease, it took us forever to get close to the end zone and score. After that touchdown, our defense never got us the ball back, so we lost our 3rd game of the year. And all of a sudden, we weren't the top team in our division. We had to win this game against Air Force to stay in the conference championship race, and Nathaniel Jones put us off to the best start possible. He took this halfback screen from midfield and would turn it into a 57-yard touchdown play by outrunning everybody out there. However, the story of the season was watching Miles Kendrick struggle to throw the ball, and it was honestly remarkable how I made this offense look competent for most of the year. I really regret calling this wide receiver screen play because not only did it result in an interception, but Air Force would take it back for 6, so that was the last time I'd let Miles Kendrick throw the ball today, as I only called run plays from there. Just like you'd expect, that didn't go very well with us never scoring, and I was ready to make a quarterback switch. I benched the senior for a sophomore, and it was time to see how that went. I decided to start a new quarterback for this game with sophomore CJ Montez making his first career start for New Mexico, and he was hooking up with our receivers early. Not only was he a much better passer, but he was starting to get down the option offense that worked so well for us all year. And I was really glad that I made my first big coaching decision because CJ Montez looked good and he had multiple years left in college. We ended up going up by 4, and that lead lasted to the 4th quarter. Colorado State wasn't able to stop my offense, and the quarterback switch worked. CJ Montez was the new starter, and we were now bowl eligible. I was coaching against a ranked team, and if my offense played well, I might land a better job at the end of the year. The story of my coaching career so far was the option run, and it continued to prove itself as my best play call, with Jordan Porter making multiple players miss and taking in this impressive 43-yard play. With 25 seconds left in the first half, Austin Erickson caught the go-ahead touchdown, but with 3 minutes left in the game, we were trying to make a 10-point comeback. And after our defense got a clutch stop, we had a minute to score. But in the end, CJ Montez didn't seem to have the clutch gene in him, and we had one more game left. We were playing on a blue field at Boise State, and CJ Montez started off the game with one of the most inaccurate throws I had ever seen, completely missing the receiver. However, he bounced back in the second quarter, throwing a touchdown dot, but his success didn't last as he fumbled it away on the goal line later in the game, and threw another interception in our bad loss to Boise State. I wasn't sure I'd get any job offers because my offense had a bad couple of weeks. There were going to be a lot of new coaching opportunities, but before I found out if I got any offers, I had to coach in our bowl game. And CJ Montez threw an interception to start it off, which was becoming a normal occurrence. This pick wasn't his fault, but I was beyond furious because that was a great play call by me that should have resulted in a big game. By the end of the first half, we finally scored, but we were already too far behind. My first year coaching didn't end how I would have liked, but I was ready to see if I had any job offers. I was offered a contract extension by New Mexico, But that wasn't my only option. North Texas offered me an offensive coordinator job, but I ended up staying at New Mexico for the time being.